Hey, it is Kim, and it is early November. November, I don't know, early 6th, maybe 7th. And I wanted to just give an update on something that I've recently experienced. I was pretty quiet about it before I experienced this, but I attended a 10-day silent retreat, meditation, yoga retreat in Mexico, kind of in a little remote area of Mexico, actually. It was a last minute. I felt very much drawn to when I discovered I'd been looking all year for a silent retreat. And with COVID and all the things happening, there were many of them like I couldn't find any to attend. And this came up on a very last minute, kind of a accidental, coincidental search that I looked at one day, and it just happened to be starting the next in a few days. So I ended up being able to go. Just wanted to share some things that occurred at that retreat for me. First of all, it was 10 days of complete silence and no electronics. So no cell phone, no computer. The only thing I had my cell phone was for the travel there. And I used it in airplane mode the whole time I was there, but just as my alarm, because every day started, I got up at 6, but the official start was at 7 a.m. And it went till sometimes 9, 10 o'clock at night. There was a break in the afternoon, but anyway, it was very interesting. So I was going to share some of the insights and feedback that I had. The quiet part was not hard for me. I know it might be hard to believe, but it was not a hard thing for me to not talk. Because think about it for a minute. When you stop talking with your mouth, your brain doesn't stop. So you're talking in your mind all the time anyway, right? So pay attention to that, because self-talk is very powerful and very revealing. So, but talking outwardly was not hard. In fact, I really wanted it to be a very, I wasn't really there to meet people or to get to know people or to hear their stories, although that was part of what I always like to do. But this was a very self-reflective, self-sustaining, it was self-care for sure. And the other thing was I thought it would be harder to not have any connection to the outside world, meaning with my phone. So my family knew where to find me if there was an emergency. And that pacified my little triggered fear brain at night, like, oh no, what if something happens? They can reach me. So I let that calm me about that. And it really wasn't a hard thing. I thought it would be harder. Um, but other than that, it was days filled with um, lots of meditation. Like probably it was too much meditation, to be honest with you. Maybe physically, I can't sit for 6, 7 hours a day, and there was that much meditation. So it was a lot of meditation, and I am a meditator, and I felt like that was probably a little bit unnecessary for me to have that much. However, it's whatever, no judgment. There was a lot of people that did it and probably loved it. But there was a lot of meditation, which, by the way, when I talked about self-talk, that's exactly how you can quiet that. Meditation is one of the biggest benefits of it is to get a quiet mind. And when people tell me, Kim, I can't meditate, I can't shut off my mind, that's why you do it. And meditation is really a process. This is a whole other video, but really meditation is a process of just continually coming back. Breathing is a huge key, because that calms down the survival brain, gives you access to that deep part of you that is your true self. But you're not going to go there, it's not going to go down without a fight. So your ego is very much attached to thoughts. And so the process of practicing meditation is really, every time, no matter how long I'm going to end up sitting in a meditation for, the first 10, 15, sometimes even a half hour, some days, it's a process of just bringing myself back to my breath without judgment. So that's the whole, really a huge piece of meditation, is to unwire from the fear-based thoughts that you were wired from, and that you've had every day of your life running in the background that you don't maybe even realize. And then realizing it. Wow, so when I'm just being quiet, trying to be quiet, focusing on my breath. Wow, look at that thought. Wow. Really, it's just a matter of being aware of all the thoughts that are running and then not having judgment about it and coming back. Because most of the time, what loses people with meditation is they say, oh, I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I'm not perfect. I'm not doing it right. I'm not doing it right. They don't really realize that is right. What you're doing with having the thought, noticing the thought, bringing your awareness back, that's meditation. So anyway, and then once you're connected to that deep part of you, see, prayer is me talking and asking and, talking and communicating to God. But meditation is not that. Meditation is different. So when people say, oh, I pray, well, good. But meditation gives you a chance to hear that still small voice that is speaking to you that you can't hear because of our insane minds. So there you go. So it was a lot of journaling as well, because I would meditate, and then because I couldn't share, and I'm an external processor typically, so I like to share what I learned. I shared what I learned on the paper. And honestly, there is such power in just continuing the process of meditation on paper. Like, even if you started writing, I call it spirit writing, to be honest, because journaling is more, this is a distinction you can think of, is like keeping a diary. Okay, I did this, I did that, this has happened, this is going to happen, blah, blah, blah. That's like a journal or a diary. Spirit writing is continuing the flow of spirit, God, love speaking through you. And you can just continue to just don't judge, don't think you're not doing it right. It's the same process that you go through for meditation, and just start writing and let the flow of God come through. And honestly, as you keep writing without judgment, bringing yourself back to, I don't even know what I'm going to write. I don't really know why I do this. Why am I writing? Because I don't even know what I'm going to write. If that's even how you start it, ideas and insights and ahas will continue to happen. So that was a really cool experience in this 10-day experience. So it gave me a lot of inspiration. However, let me just wrap this up by saying, on day 10, it was, everybody was going to do a little testimony meeting and share their experience now that everybody could talk. So we broke our sacred silence in an actual prayer kind of thing. And I sat there at that meeting that Sunday night and just felt like I was getting sick, and I don't get sick. So this was really weird. And then I woke up at 1 a.m. with 103 fever. And where I was in Mexico, they had a big outbreak of dengue fever, which is, you get it from a mosquito of someone who bit someone who is going, anyway, passing, sharing the love on the virus of dengue fever. I'm glad it wasn't COVID, but it was a high fever, and I couldn't come home right away. I had to wait till I could control my fever, and then I dragged myself home. And it was so what ended up happening at the end of this retreat for me, which was kind of a poignant way to end the 10 days of this bliss, was this principle of kind of the dark night of the soul. Like, it really was a very dark, hard, spiritual darkness that I went into at the very end of this 10-day of bliss. And it was hard. It was hard mainly because I really wanted to just come home on that high and kind of process all of my journals and communicate and contribute to my peeps, and really just, okay, yes. And it wasn't. It was like, I don't want to get out of bed. Number one, I didn't feel good, but see, I don't believe anything really happens physically without it happening first spiritually. So that's my interpretation for me. So I'm always looking. That's why when I get sick, or if I am ever sick, it's usually because I need to be, because I want to be for some reason. Like, I need to time off. I need an excuse to lay in bed. But this was like such a dark, deep attack spiritually on me that at the end of it, which it was a good week after I got home, that I'm processing this right now. And it was like, you know what? It's like, this is the process. Some of you have spiritual spurts, or you have goals that you set. And the minute you have that experience, you're dealt the other hand, the other side of that coin. And both are essential. You don't just get one. You don't just get the high without the price. And you don't get the price if you're paying a price right now. Start being aware of what is this, what's on the other side of that for you. Whether it sends you to your knees, it sends you to prayer, it sends you to meditation, it sends you to God, it sends you to love, it sends you inward. And that's what a lot of the obstacles and the issues of our life are little catalysts to get our attention, to turn us inward, to say, who are you? Who are you really? And what really is true? None of this outward world we live in, is a myth, an illusion, a dream. Our senses are there to fool us, and these things that happen to us are there as these catalysts to remind us who we are. And so, as hard as it was this last week for me, at the end of it, of course, I'm very thankful because it deepened my, like all the stuff that I learned, right? In my journal, I wrote about, and I was having inspirational thoughts and feeling really on a high, but was I really? So it's kind of like what, happened maybe with Job, or these illustrations of, okay, so this is what you think, but now who are you? What do you really know? And you can only have those experiences. You can't know them here. It has to be forged in the soul, in the deepest part. So at the end of that, many of you have had experiences like that in your life. And you have a choice in those experiences, don't you? You can continue living in the myth and the illusion of the ego and the identity and fear-based thinking of, and blaming and thinking victim and thinking, how all of this out here is causing it and you can't help it and all that. And or you get to a point where you go, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready now to be done with that. And I'm ready to turn to the truth of love and who I really, really, really am at the core. And once you have those more experiences that way, it becomes just that deep knowing. And that's what I'm thankful for today. But it's been an amazing experience. And thank you for letting me share with you.